this right here is a powerful and customizable MIDI controller for live music performances. If you play to click or tracks, it will display the song that you are on. You can choose a new song or skip to the next song and see it on this device without having to be near your computer. This is the Liobox2 by GooRoo Controllers. This works extremely well with Ableton specifically, but it also works with other DAWs such as Logic, Pro Tools, Reaper, and other software as well. You can create set lists on the device itself, which makes it super easy. You don't have to reset up your DAW for every single show arrangement. It has redundancy built in so you can control 2 different computers at once. It also has a MIDI in and out port for even more control. You have these 4 customizable buttons down here, which can be play, stop, next, and previous if you want to keep it very simple. However, you can also customize this to make it work exactly how you want it to. Whether you're a playback tech or you're a drummer or keyboardist or a musician who controls the tracks and triggers them, this is a really powerful tool that might work really well in your setup, so I'm going to go over it in detail to see if this is something that is right for you. I do want to say many thanks to GooRoo Controllers for sending this over and for sponsoring the video. Just as always, all the opinions in this video are my own, and GooRoo Controllers were kind enough to actually send over a second one of these so that I could do a giveaway to one of my subscribers. So I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers at the end of the video. So consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. And let's check out the Liobox2 by GooRoo Controllers. So a quick overview of what's included. This is the Liobox2 right here. On the top, you can see you have 2 slots for USB because you can connect these to 2 computers and run one of them as the main and the other one as the spare, which is very cool. It's already built in. It also has 3.5mm TRS MIDI inputs and outputs. And I'll show you how to use that a little bit later. Included, you do get 2 USB-B to USB-A cables, so you can connect these to your computer. Again, you can do 1 main and 1 spare, or you can just connect to one, which is how I'm going to demo it for this video. You might be asking, what if you have USB-C? Well, they do include the USB-A to USB-C adapters. And that's actually how I'm connecting to my computer for this demo. You also get a pouch and also a cleaning cloth, which is a nice touch. Some optional products, you do have the Liobass. This is a cool way that you can connect it magnetically to this case, and then you can connect it to other devices such as mic stands or drum accessories or whatever you want. You also do have a case for it if you want to bring it around from gig to gig, and the case does have a spot to store your cables as well. So the 2 DAWs that I personally use and the ones that I'm most familiar with are Ableton and Logic. So those are the ones that I'm going to demo in this video. However, they do have tutorials on how to set this up with Reaper or Pro Tools and other software as well. I will link to that page for more tutorials on those down below in the description. Also, I do have videos on a beginner's guide in setting up tracks for Ableton, as well as a beginner's guide in setting up your tracks in Logic. Actually, in Logic is like a 7-part series, and that's actually how I started my YouTube channel. But if you're interested in setting up your backing tracks in those DAWs, those are the videos that you want to watch. I'm assuming that your backing tracks are already set up and you want to use this to control them. And also keep in mind, as I'm going through this, you can customize this so many different ways. I'm going to start with showing you how to use it in just the basic way, but then I'm going to show you more advanced stuff and more customization as the video goes on. So first thing you want to do is download the script for Ableton. You'll get this QR code, so just scan that and download the scripts. Now you have to make sure you get the correct one for which version of Ableton that you are using. You can see they have ones for Ableton 12.1, 12.2, 11.12, and so on and so forth. Make sure you're using the right one that you're using. I'm on 12.2, so that's the one that I'm going to be using. So you're going to connect the controller to your computer, and you're going to see it's going to boot up. You're going to see a red X in the upper left. That means that it's not quite set up yet. You just have to do a few more things in order to get it connected. This is how to do it on a Mac. Go to your Applications folder, right-click on Ableton, click Show Package Contents, then go to App Resources, and then to MIDI Remote Scripts. And in here, this is where you want to drag in the script. For this first computer, you're going to drag in the master folder there. If you are doing this on a second computer for like a redundant setup where you have 2 computers running the same thing, you're going to want to drag in the spare folder into the exact same location on the second computer. For this video, I'm just going to keep it with just the one, but if you are doing that redundant setup, that's where you want to drag in the spare. Here's how you do it on Windows. I don't have a Windows computer, but here's the steps to do it, and I'll also link to this page down below in the description if you need to set this up for a Windows computer. So next, you need to go into Ableton, go to your settings. The shortcut is Command Comma for that. And you want to go to Link, Tempo, and MIDI. Go to your control surfaces. You might have some other ones in here as well, but just make sure that you enable Liobox Master. Put that into one of the slots. And then on input and output, you just want to select port 1. That's it. You're ready to go. It is connected, and you'll see this green check mark, meaning that it is working. You might ask about track sync and remote, and you will need to know that later for some more advanced settings. For right now, you actually don't need to do anything. And now it's set up. I know it took a minute, but it's ready to go. So one of the things that I love about this is that I can load up one of my current sets. So this is my actual set for my band Spiral Cell. It's a one-man looping project that's crazy, and you'll see here how insane the Ableton session is. I'll link to it down below if you want to check it out. But when the session loads, you can see I have my songs over here. Well, this works automatically. I can use the jog wheel to go to the song that I want to start, and I can push play, and it's going to start that song. You can see that restart is started. Can also stop it. Now you can see it says that I'm currently on restart, and the next song is Discovery. That's the next song in my list. I can push play and it'll start that one. Stop it. I can scroll through. Say I want to start the song Cellophane Blindfold. I can push play. It loads Cellophane Blindfold. Let's go to consonants. Push play. So it tells me the song that's currently playing as well as the song that is going to be next. It's literally just ready to go. As soon as I installed that MIDI script plugin and set those configurations, now it just works with Ableton. I can go load prologue. I can load the show intro. It just works. It's amazing how well that works. Again, this is just the basics. You get more control over this, which I will show you later, but I'm just showing you how easy it is to set up and how it just automatically works with Ableton when you first use it. Now, some of you might be asking, well, what about arrangement view? I personally use session view because it works best for me. But you can see if I tab over and I go to arrangement view, you can actually see it shows up on the Liobox and says Ableton arrangement mode. So when I switch between them, it'll tell me which mode that I'm in. And again, I don't have mine set up for arrangement mode, but I have these markers right here, or whatever locators you've put in here. You can see I have song 1, soundcheck, restart. I have all of them named, and I can control it right here. So if I wanted to go to Discovery Chorus, I can do that and push play, and it'll start playing. I can go to Cellophane Blindfold, hit play, and you'll see that the playhead will start from right there. You can do this in arrangement view or in session view. It works with both ways, which is really cool. Once you upload that script, it's ready to go, and you can control Ableton. Nice, you don't have to do any extra programming. Now you might notice it says BPM Key and Time. Those are currently blank. If you want to add those into a song, you just go right-click, rename. And when you do this is you're going to put the name of the song, space, semicolon, and then the BPM, which in this case is 148, space, semicolon, key, D minor, space, semicolon, space, and the length of the song. I don't actually know the length, but I'm just going to put in 320. And you can see when I save that, that automatically shows up on the controller itself. So you can see the BPM and the key and the time. And when I push play on that song, you can see that the time actually will start to count down. So if you know exactly the length of the time of it, you can actually see how much time is left as well. Very nice that they included that. They've included a lot of things into this. That's how you set the BPM, the key, and the time. Everything else is pretty much just plug and play and you go, and it works right out of the box. I love that. So that's the way it works by default. And again, if you're not there, you can go into your menu up here, go to mode, and then choose Ableton All Tracks. However, there's also Ableton Setlist mode, which is very cool. I'm going to go ahead and load that. And the way that I used to do this with Ableton is I would actually have different shows that would be saved. So I had a 30-minute set. I also had a 45-minute set. I would have different sets saved for different events, and I would rearrange these in different orders so it would go in the correct order. Now I don't even actually have to do that because of setlist mode. So I can have one master session, which is this right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a set list, and I'm going to make a new set list. You can see it's dropped this in here. It's kind of a little bit hard to read in this green text, so sorry if you can't see that. I might have to edit that a little bit. I'm going to click that, and first thing I'm going to do, you can also rename it, so you can call this set list whatever you want, but I'm just going to, for simplicity, I'm just going to call this set list 1, and then I'm going to go to modify set list. I'm going to add a track. It's going to see all of these different tracks in here. See, it'll tell you the length of it if you've done that on all of your songs. I didn't do that. But you can see, so for example, when I do a 30-minute set, I actually skip prologue. I do restart, discovery, immersion. I skip wake and walk, ellipsis, taste, cellophane. I think I skipped that one. I can't remember. Spiral and consonants. And then actually at the very end, I go to this track. So now that that's all done, all of those are saved in here. I'm going to go back, and you can see that those have been put into the set list right here. And this is the order that I want to play it in. I'm going to back out of it, and I'm going to load the set list. And now you can see it's going to go in that exact order that I put this in. It'll start with restart. Next one will be discovery. Next one will be immersion. Next one will be ellipsis. Because in Ableton, it goes immersion, wake, walk, ellipsis. However, since I programmed a set list, it knows to skip wake and walk and go right to ellipsis. It knows to go to taste, then cellophane, and then skips asymptote and goes straight to spiral, then to consonants, and then it will end on this one right here. So it has my set in the order that I want it to be in. Very nice. I don't have to save multiple different sessions. I have one master session, and I program my set list in the order that I want. And I can save multiple set lists. So I can also have another set list, and this one could be 45 minutes. So this is my 45-minute set list. And again, I can choose the songs that I do in here. So in this case, I do prologue, restart. And then I skip these last ones, and it goes to the end here. So that's my 45-minute set list. So now all of those are in here. And if you put in the time of each of your songs, it'll tell you the entire length of your set list. I haven't done that on all the songs, so it only says it's like a 7-minute set list. But it's definitely helpful to put in those timestamps, so when you make a set list, you know exactly how long it is. But that's very, very cool. And then when I load the set list, it's going to play them in that exact order. You can see I have 12 songs in here. And when it gets to consonants, instead of going into free flow, it just goes to the next song. Definitely a very helpful feature. You can modify it if you need to rearrange it. So you can also just so if I need to change the order, I could just click and I can either remove it or move it. So if I wanted to put restart somewhere else, I can do that. Let's say I actually need to skip asymptote. I can go in here and I can go to remove, confirm remove, and now that's removed from the set list. You can also rename it, you can delete it, or you can duplicate it if you need to do just like a slightly different set for the day. Set list mode for Ableton is extremely helpful. I definitely really like that. Okay, but remember, you can use this with multiple different DAWs as well. I'm going to show you how to do this in Logic. Remember, I have a video series if you need to set up your backing tracks in Logic. But the best way to do this is space out where your songs are. It doesn't have to be on a different track. I just personally like to do that. And you want to set up markers. If you don't know how to do that, push G to open up your global settings. Go to the spot where you want to create a marker and hit add marker, and you're going to name each of them as the song. So this is for augmented, this is for the song Sphere Storm, this is for causality, and so on and so forth. That's the easiest way to do this. Now you want to make sure that your Liobox is set up for Logic, so you're going to go to this button right here, go to mode, and you have two different modes for Logic Pro. I'm going to show you both. Let's do transport mode first. That's the easiest one. Play, rewind, fast forward, and stop is what it's going to give you by default. Remember, all of this can be customized if you want to change this around, but this is just general controls for Logic. Now in Logic, what you want to do is you want to go to your Logic Pro settings, go to key commands, and then edit assignments. So you're going to see all sorts of different options in here. You can search over here in the right. So I'm going to search for the play command. I'm going to select play, and then you're going to go over here to learn new assignments. Now it's waiting for a command. I'm going to push the play button. Now Logic knows when I push this button, I want to send a play command. I can also do the same thing for stop. Learn new assignment. This is going to be stop. And now the stop command is assigned. You can assign these to different things. You can just assign them to fast forward or rewind if you want. But mine I like to do is marker. So I'm going to search for marker. Go to previous marker. Is going to be this one. So I would probably rename this to previous and next, but it works anyways. And then go to next marker. Learn new assignment. I'm going to assign that to this one. This is the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. So now you can see when I push these buttons here in the middle, I can scroll through each of the markers or my songs. So you can see that I'm going to each of my markers. So let's say if I wanted to go to backfire and then push play, it would start backfire. And then I can hit stop. Go back, let's go to the beginning, to augmented, and push play. Stop, fast forward to Sphere Storm, push play. That's an easy way to control Logic Pro X with the Liobox2. It's not as easy, obviously, as Ableton, but if you remember, they actually have a mode specifically for Logic Pro marker mode down here. So that's actually what I'm going to show you now. This one takes a little bit more configuration, and yeah, you'll see how cool this is. So let's load Logic Pro marker mode. So now what we have to do is we have to go back, since we're basically making a set list at this point. So we're going to go to set list just like we did with Ableton. And you can see that you have different set lists in here. It's actually really nice that they give you A for Ableton and L for Logic. You can see I've already actually made one in here, but you probably won't see any of them in here. I'm going to add a Logic set list. So I have a Logic set list in here. I'm going to load it. I'm going to modify the set list. And you're going to add a marker for every song that you have. If you have 12 songs, you'll make 12 markers. If you have 20 songs, you'll make 20 markers. In my case, I only have 4 songs, so I'm just going to make 4 markers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this first one, and I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to name each marker by each song. The first song in my Logic session is Augmented in this case. I'm going to do all this off screen so you don't have to watch me do this because it does take a little while. So now you can see I have my 4 markers, and they are named based on the songs and in the order that I have them. So let's go back, and this time you want to make sure that you load this set list. I'm going to load specifically Spiral Cell 3. So now what you want to do is go back into your key commands, edit assignments. You would still assign play and stop, and they should actually still work. Yeah, you can see that they actually still work right now. Those are still working. But if I push next or previous, you can see it'll go to like the song, so backfire. So if I push play, shouldn't it load backfire? Well, it's not. It's actually just playing from where the playhead is. So that's not what I want. So now what you actually have to do, you're going to edit your assignments. This time search for marker. And we have commands for go to markers 1 through 20. I'm going to select go to marker 1. I'm going to select learn new assignment. And then while the Liobox says augmented, I'm going to push in on the jog wheel. Mine is having a weird glitch where it brings up prologue. I'm not quite sure. Yours might do that, it might not, but don't worry about that. Now I'm on go to marker 2, learn new assignment. Liobox says Sphere Storm, push in on the jog wheel to assign that. And you can see it automatically load the next song, which is very convenient. So now I'm going to go to marker 3, learn new assignment, push in on backfire, which is marker 4. Learn new assignment, and push in. So now those are assigned. So you can see that play works as it should. Play and stop do. Now, if I want to go to a song, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the jog wheel to go to a song. So to go to Sphere Storm, I'm going to push in on the encoder. You can see it jumps to the beginning of Sphere Storm, and then I push play. If I want to go to backfire, I'm going to scroll until I get to backfire, push it on the encoder. It jumps to backfire, and then push play. So it's like one extra step that you have to do. And now you don't even have to look at your computer at all. You would have this. You would say, I want to go to Sphere Storm, engage to load Sphere Storm, and then push play. Not quite as easy to set up as Ableton, where it just works automatically, but that is the workaround. Don't forget, you can also do this in Reaper, and you can also just do this in just MIDI mode as well, where you can set up play, stop, fast forward, and rewind with whatever DAW you want to use. So for example, I'm going to show you that I can control Stage Tracks 3 on my iPad, and you can see the iPad actually powers the Liobox2 as well, which is really cool. But I'm going to put it into MIDI transport mode. And you can see I can push play on a song. All for you. Guitar intro. I can stop the song. And I have this assigned that this button right here will select a different song or scroll to a different song. And then this one right here will confirm that selection. And I also have this assigned to hold press to scroll the lyrics. So again, you can customize this to fit with the software or the DAW that you personally use. If you're curious on how to set up MIDI to control stage tracks, I have a video going over that. But I'm just showing you that you can use MIDI mode to control other software besides the ones that are listed: Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, and Reaper. Seems to work best with Ableton, but very cool that it can work with multiple different devices. Also, if you need help with MIDI programming in general, I do recommend watching my MIDI Beginner's Guide to understand some of the concepts of MIDI. All right, so those are the basics, but as you can see, you have fast forward and rewind. When I'm in session view, I don't really need to do that, so you actually can configure these pads to do multiple different things. There's so much more customization that you can do in here. So let's go under the menu. We've gone over the mode, and we've gone over set list. Next up is pad config. So first of all, just FYI, you can do multiple banks. So you can have up to 4 different banks. So you can switch between 4 different banks and have them do different things. So this could be play, rewind, fast forward, and stop. And this could be something separate. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. But let's just say I'm going to keep play and stop. Most people will need that. But I want to change what the second button does. So I'm going to click that. And then you can choose what you want it to do. And you can assign it based on a short press, a double press, and a long press. So for a short press, you can choose some of these custom ones in here. So play, pause, stop, previous marker. There's all sorts of different ones in here. Next marker. So you can use some of the default ones in here instead. So if I actually wanted this to be previous marker in the software, I can do that. And now it has assigned it to previous marker in the software. However, I can also just turn this into a MIDI controller and just go to custom MIDI. I can say what note, actually scroll down and I can actually say, do I want this to be a MIDI note, a control change, or a program change? In Ableton, I personally like notes. That seems to work. But let's say note 13, velocity all the way up. Can you go backwards? Yeah, you can actually scroll backwards, which is nice to set it to 127, and then on MIDI channel 14. But then what I can do, for example, is in Ableton, if you don't know how to assign MIDI, I'm going to click this MIDI box right here. You can see these are all of the commands that I currently have set to trigger in MIDI. My session is so complicated, but let's say for the sake of the demo that I wanted to trigger this clip right here. Let's go ahead and back out of this, all of this. And now I'm going to click this button to assign that to trigger the clip. Oh, and actually, this is where you do want to make sure that you have your Liobox under your link tempo and MIDI. You want to make sure that remote is enabled. So now I'm going to assign this button to launch this clip, which it did. So now I'm going to get out of MIDI mode. And you can see when I push this button, it's going to launch that clip, just like I programmed it to. This is just an example, just to show you can configure whatever you want in Ableton. You can turn on and off a click, trigger different clips or scenes, control lighting software, whatever you want to do. You can customize this for multiple different things just as a standard MIDI controller. Let's go back into pad config. I'm going to choose this one, and it is currently set to custom MIDI. I could do the same thing on a double press. I could make it, pause, and then a long press would be fast forward or something like that. So now when I push this, it's a custom MIDI command that I've programmed. Double press will pause and long press will fast forward. You also can change the LED color. So you can see right now it's this white color, but I can have it be blank, blue, red, all these sorts of different colors. So let's go ahead and set it to yellow. I can also rename the pad. So let's just call this, test, confirm the rename, and now it's called test. So when I back out, you can see it has play, test, and stop. So I can label this whatever I want. MIDI in trigger, I'm going to show you when I go over the MIDI in and MIDI out ports a little later in the video. But you get so much customization on every single pad that you want. That was just on this pad. Short press, double press, long press. You can also trigger it via the MIDI in. You can set the color and rename the pad. And you can do that on any of these. So I'm going to go to pad 3. You can do the exact same thing. So on a double press, I want it to pause, set the color to what you want. Let's set this one to pink, and you can also rename it to whatever you want as well. And like I mentioned, you have 4 different banks in here. So now I'm on bank 4. And I want to change this one. Program everything the way that you want it to. Let me just change all of these to be slightly different colors. So now I have 4 different colors on this one. On the 4th bank, the way that you change banks when you're on the main screen is with this button right here on the left. If you aren't able to do that, you need to go under your main menu, go to settings, and go to bank lock number. This is actually really clever that they do this. If you don't ever plan to use more than 4, you don't need to have access to all 4. So if you set it to 1, this button basically won't do anything live. Now when I push this button, I can cycle through all 4 different banks. 4 pads, up to 4 banks, with 3 different types of commands on each. A lot of customization. That's almost all of it. There are a couple more settings down here that you can do. MIDI in is just enable or disable. So if you do plan to use that MIDI in port, you do want to make sure that's enabled here. Under your settings, I showed you what bank lock number is. We already went over that. Screen preference. So you can have different display modes. So if you want on standard, it'll display it like this. You can keep it very simple and just have it look like this. If you don't need to see the names, there's a couple of different display modes. I actually personally just really like advanced mode. It just gives me the most information. Next up, we have theme. So you can set it to day or night. Very, very helpful that they have that. Trying to see a screen in the bright sunlight can be a huge pain sometimes. You can adjust the brightness of the screen as well. A couple of advanced settings. Show track number. So you can see it'll show the track number here. So it shows that sound check is 1, test instruments is 2, show intro is 3, prologue is 4. I personally don't need to know that since I do stuff in a different order usually, and I have like sound check and stuff in there. So I usually leave that disabled. Error on duplicate message is on by default. This is helpful if you've named your songs, especially in like arrangement mode, you just call it chorus or something like that instead of prologue chorus and cellophane blindfold chorus. It'll let you know that there are duplicates somewhere in the session, and you might want to change that. But you can disable that if you want as well. But that is pretty much all of your controls on the Liobox2. Very, very powerful. It's incredible what you can do just on this by itself. However, if you remember, there's also the MIDI in and the MIDI out ports. So you actually can use those, and you can either control this or control other MIDI devices from this. So we're still not done yet with everything that this can do. Okay, so with the MIDI out port that you have on the Liobox up here, I'm actually going to connect that into my HX Stomp just to show you that it works. I really do love these low profile TRS to 5-pin MIDI cables that CME Pro makes. I'll be sure to link to these down below. I love these cables. So MIDI out to MIDI in on the HX Stomp. This isn't a video about MIDI programming or how to program the HX Stomp. If you need help with that, I have multiple videos going over that on my channel. But here you just want to make sure that under your settings, this is where you want to make sure that the output ports for Liobox Master Port 2 are enabled. You want to enable track and remote on this one. And then this is my complicated live show, but this is all of my MIDI messages that I send to my HX Stomp. So what I'm actually just going to do is I'm going to say MIDI 2, Liobox Master Port 2, and on MIDI channel 4, because that's what my HX Stomp reads on. So basically what I'm going to do is all of the MIDI commands that I've programmed right here, I'm going to send those commands to the Liobox MIDI out on MIDI channel 4. So you can see when I load those songs from the Liobox, it'll actually send those MIDI commands out the Liobox MIDI out as well. So when I go and load immersion, when I load that, it'll load the immersion preset on the HX Stomp. When I load cellophane blindfold, it'll load cellophane blindfold. It will change on the downbeat because the session is going right now. And when I load consonants, it'll load the consonant preset on the HX Stomp. So I can still control other devices with that MIDI out port if you would like to. Pretty cool that you also get MIDI out from this device as well. Okay, and then last but not least for that MIDI in, you can use a MIDI controller to send messages to control the Liobox2. So you can control the Liobox2 with your feet, for example. For this example, I'm going to use the Luminite M2 to send messages to the Liobox. So I'm going to connect from the MIDI out of my MIDI controller to the MIDI in on the Liobox2. Now, in order to set this up, you have to configure a few things. You want to go into your settings and make sure that MIDI in is enabled. So make sure that it's green. Then you want to go to pad config, select the pad. I'm going to choose this first one. Go down to MIDI in trigger. Make sure that you activate it. So make sure that that is green, and then go to assign trigger. Now here's where I wish that I could just push a button and it would send the message that I want to assign. Hopefully that comes in a new firmware update. That would really be great. I'd love to see that in a new firmware update. But you can see that I've programmed this to send on MIDI channel 15 note 10. So that's what I'm going to program this to receive. You can do this with program changes or control changes as well, but I'm just going to do this with notes. So let's set note to 10. Velocity you can set to any, which is very nice. And then I'm going to set to channel 15. So now I'm going to back out of this, and it's going to save the settings. And now when I push this button, it's going to act like I pushed this button. So you can see it plays and the audio plays. So this is sending a command to control the Liobox2. In this case, it's the play command. I can do the same thing with all the other ones as well. Go back to pad config, choose the pad, activate the MIDI input, and assign the trigger. I'm going to do all of this off screen so you don't have to watch me do this again. But you can see I can do next, I can do previous, and I can do play, and I can do stop from an external MIDI controller to send those messages to the Liobox2. So that's really nice if you want to control this with your feet, for example, or send other messages like from an SPDSX or something like that to the Liobox2 in order to control it that way. So much flexibility in what you can do with this thing. And as of the time of shooting, the Liobox2 is currently about $428, at least in the United States. I'll link to this down below so you can check this out for yourself. They are a French company, so it might be cheaper if you live in Europe. But I'll have links down below if you do decide that this is something that is right for you and your needs. So this really is just a killer customizable MIDI controller. Great for controlling playback rigs. Very nice. It works just like right out of the box with Ableton. Install that MIDI script, set up your control surface, and it's ready to go. I love that about it. With Spiral Cell, my original music, I use Ableton. Very, very cool. I think it works best with Ableton. However, it's very nice that they gave you so many different options for configuring it with other DAWs such as Logic, Pro Tools, and Reaper. Are there any improvements I could think of? I mean, I guess I would say USB-C natively would be really nice since that's what everything's moving to, but that's not really a deal breaker. The other thing I thought of, I don't even know if this is possible. This isn't a deal breaker. This is just me brainstorming. I would love it if it was like Bluetooth enabled or like wirelessly enabled to connect to the computer and it had like a built-in battery. That'd be really cool if you're like a keyboard player and you can just set it by your keyboard. I don't even know if that's possible. I'm just brainstorming. But the main reason why is because USB-C cables, you don't want to run more than 15 feet. I've ran it 20 feet before with no problems, but if you run it longer than that, you can lose data and it kind of can get disconnected. So if you did want to do that, you'd have to set up like a MIDI network and run it over like a Cat5 cable. I actually need to do some more research in how to do that. I'm not actually even familiar with that, so that's something I need to do more research on. But do keep in mind that is one of the limitations. But it's so customizable. It works extremely well. The MIDI in and out ports is a nice touch. I think it's very well built. Great build quality. The buttons feel great. Definitely very happy with it. So many thanks to GooRoo Controllers for sending this over. Like I mentioned, I am going to do a giveaway for one of my subscribers, so consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. And then to enter the giveaway, just leave a comment down below and let me know two things. Let me know, one, how you are running your backing tracks. So using a DAW software, what are you doing for your backing tracks? And then let me know, do you run your tracks in mono or stereo? I personally have always been a mono tracks guy, but I'm really curious how many people are truly using mono backing tracks and how many people are using stereo backing tracks. Just for my interest, I'm more just curious how many people use stereo and how many people are like me and just use mono tracks. You only have 24 hours to enter this giveaway and I will announce the winner on this date right here. I'll make a post about it. I'll also do a pinned comment and I'll post about it in my Instagram stories as well. Please remember, just do not respond to scammers. Scammers sometimes show up when I do giveaways. I will not ask you for money for shipping or whatever clever reason they give you. If anyone messages you, says that they're me, and they start asking you for money, that is 100% a scammer. Please do not respond to scammers. If you're interested in lighting software and video software that you can use to pair with backing tracks, if you're already playing the tracks in a click, it's nice to sync up lights and video. I have two different pieces of software to recommend to you. For lighting, I really like Show Buddy Active. I just did a very long, extensive video on that. It's my favorite lighting software, and it actually works within Ableton, Logic, and other DAWs as well. And also, if you're interested in video software, there's one that I reviewed a while ago called VisiBox that's actually really cool. So you can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any other cool gear you want me to check out, please leave me as a comment down below. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Yule Music. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.